Hey everybody, this is Joseph Peisich, and welcome to the Fired Up Network. Welcome to the World Cup update, day 4 with Carmine Isacco. Will hopefully be joined by Giancarlo Aulino. He's crying a little bit. He had to get composed and everything. We'll touch on that. Now, 5 a.m. I have family who are Moroccan. I woke up to watch this. Morocco, 0-0. What did you think?
I like Morocco. I like Morocco. I like Hakimi. I thought was fantastic, getting forward, being direct, creating situations, attacking situations on his own. Modric was all over the field. For me, Croatia hasn't replaced Mandzukic, and a lot of teams that seems to be the overriding theme that they don't have that nine to score goals. And obviously, Canada has a couple of nines to score goals, but they didn't today. But that's another story. But
Okay.
yeah, I think that I thought Morocco was a very good team. I mean, I thought they were good going at them. I thought that Croatia. I think that group is going to be very, very even from bottom to top. I think there's results to be had. And I think that Belgium didn't prove to be formidable at all. Going forward, breaking down the Canada press, they had 3v3 situations of like man even situations, and in some situations man up, but they didn't really exploit them. But I just thought Morocco was very good. Hakimi, very good as an individual. Ziyech, not so great, but I think that that whole group is going to be very even. I don't think Croatia showed too much. Brozovic and Perisic were solid as usual. You look at Modric, I thought he was committed all over the field, did very well. But when it got into the final third, which is again not only the theme, but when it gets into that final third, not a lot was going on for either team. And Palisic really didn't create enough, and the options off the bench for Croatia were very limited, and they just for me it wasn't good enough. And then they've got players that usually play like Palisic is usually a 10 in Serie A, playing as a 9. So there seems to be a lot of moving pieces, and no team has really been good in their continuity in the final third. So except for Spain today, but we'll get into that in a second. But Spain was very very good, but Costa Rica was also very 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 bad.
All right, so let's look at the second match. Another stunner. We have yesterday Saudi Arabia beating Argentina, and then Germany leading 1-0, and then Japan scoring two straight goals. Japan 2, Germany 1. I'll ask you this. What's more surprising? Japan win or Saudi Arabia win?
I think they're both victims of complacency. I think that both teams were complacent, and it was really evident in the German approach to this game and to their second half, and the changes that he made. For me, making the changes that he made in the 60th minute or before were uh, they were too soon. I didn't think that they had chances to get that second goal, but the reality is they didn't get that second goal, and the rhythm of this game was so good in the Germans' favor that I thought the changes kind of allowed the Japanese to kind of be a step ahead as far as the rhythm of the game. At that time, the Germans didn't need to change the rhythm. They had to continue changing the rhythm and get that second goal. Obviously, it's hard when you play when 1-0 is a dangerous score, and the two goals that the Japanese got in transition actions were very good goals, but bad defending. And I attribute it to that second goal that the Germans didn't get, and, and the Japanese being clinical when they needed to be.
All right, we're
Although
joined in
Neuer was at fault for that second goal.
We're joined in by Giancarlo Aulino, who's done crying. You're okay? You're done crying and everything like that. By the way, Giancarlo, where are you from? What's your nationality from? And Carmen, where's your nationality from? Let me hear this.
I'm actually both, so.
No. You know what I'm going. I know you're Canadian, but what is the other nationality?
Italian.
Carmen, what's your other nationality?
Are you having a laugh, Joe?
Listen. We're
It's
gonna.
not a common that Spain gets a win,
No,
like
no,
they're coming off the
wait a
Euro
minute.
loss.
That's not a win. That's not a win. 7-0, 7-0. Giancarlo, I'll repeat. Nil, not nothing. Nil, not zero. Nil, nada. All right? 7-0. That's like a
But
football.
Joe, go back to the show yesterday. What did I say about the Costa
I'm
Rican
giving
team?
you the karma. Hold on. I'm giving you a compliment. All right, hold on. Here, the only guy in broadcast media. Yes, for this month you're in broadcasting media, Carm. Okay, for this only guy, he said Spain is going to dominate. And I thought he was mentioning because he was doing me a favor since he owes me Nina Diversa for like 40 years. But Spain, he said, I believe it. You told me off air, Spain probably scores 4 goals. Didn't you tell me that off air? Spain probably scores 4 goals. Well, they scored a touchdown and the extra point. 7-0. I don't care who they played. You score 7 goals in soccer. That's like Maple Leafs. When's the last time Maple Leafs scored 7 goals, Giancarlo? All right.
Put things in perspective, Joe. Put things in perspective. Teams usually score 7 to 10 goals and win the tournament with 7 to 10 goals. So this, what they did today, is done. Now they've got to score against their next opponents, which
Germany
I mean,
Sunday. Germany Sunday. All right. So
and it's a must-win for Germany. It's a
so
must-win for Germany.
must win, or else if they lose, they're probably out. Okay, like let's face it, they lose, they're probably out. Okay, let's talk about Spain game, Carmen, then Giancarlo, and then Giancarlo wants to talk about Canada. So go ahead, talk about Spain game. Go ahead, Carm.
I mean, I think it's a familiarity within in Enrique's his philosophy. You know, how many times would a coach with so much talent on the bench start Danny Olmo, and he did, and it worked out incredibly well for him. So I mean, Luis Enrique does what he envisions with the appropriate players, and he kind of has his own team. You know, other coaches talk about the form of the players, who's playing the best at the time, all that stuff. Luis Enrique, you know, regardless of that, has his team, and has his 26 players that I believe he'll probably go 26 deep if he hasn't already. Um, we'll probably go 26 deep in using all the players to fit his blueprint for the next game. Excuse me.
All right, Giancarlo.
So, I mean, ball domination. Just you saw like I mean, you saw the difference between Spain and pretty much everyone else technically today. And in the conditions, like we watch games on TV, but we're in the middle of November, but we forget that Qatar is really hot, and everyone looks older and slower, and like even the Belgians looked old and slow. Polish looked old and slow. The Danes look old and slow. I mean, but it is 40-degree heat still, and they're still acclimatizing to their situations, their surroundings. But the Spanish look like they haven't skipped a beat. And to be honest, they got teenagers playing in the midfield who are not only fantastically technical, but just fantastic energy, right? Other than that, I don't think just yet we've seen the best out of those teams. But you know, and all the other conditions that are surrounded by them. Usually, teams get a month to prepare. These teams maybe had 2 practices to prepare, so it showed. And as this tournament goes on, remember, we're talking about 4 or 5 weeks. As this tournament goes on, I think the quality of the soccer will be better. But let's just hope the injuries stay to a minimum, and let's hope that the levels of even Belgium, they look like they're going in gear 2, and Canada look like they're going at the top level that they can be, as they should have, and they obviously deserve better, but Joe, I will hold off until you bring up the topic because you are leading
Well,
the
I'm going to
show.
bring it up now because Giancarlo does not want to talk about Spain. So, para bien, España, para bien. All right. Now,
Great to see them bounce back from the penalty shootout against Italy at the Euros and get a
look at
nice
this
result
guy.
in a major
Giancarlo, do you want me to
tournament.
take you off the air right now? Come on. All right. So, Giancarlo, how old are you?
27.
27. All right, Carm, me and you are older than Giancarlo. All right. Last time, 1986, Canada was in the World Cup. They did not score a goal. All right. The big anticipation, and let's face it. Let's face it. I don't know about you guys, but when the whole team singing "Oh Canada," I had a tear. The president of provinces of Canada had a tear in his eyes. Carmen, I know you were crying buckets. You were crying buckets. You're an emotional guy. You were crying buckets. But when you're watching the scenes on TV, how did you feel before the game started and hearing that national anthem?
To be honest, I was so tuned into the game that I felt like I was kind of like part of it, and like just kind of coaching. I was so tuned into what was going to go on and what's happening and how they're going to approach it and all that. That yeah, the emotions were there, but we were so antsy to get it going, um, and that's what happened. I just yeah, it was beautiful, but they like we talked about yesterday. There was that initial moment where those players took it in for themselves. They took it in for everybody around them, everyone who supported them all these years. But then after that, it was business. And first 10 minutes of the game, we should have been up at least 1-0,
1-0.
and we're 1-0. We should have been up by at least one goal. So that was troubling to say the least. And you know we're all going to talk about who the penalty kick taker is. We're all going to talk about Jonathan David probably having a very high success rate with Lille when he takes penalties. All that stuff that we're going to talk about. But in the end, it wasn't just that one penalty. There was different situations where we should have been better at. And if we spend the time and energy talking about the referee or talking about decisions, it will lose focus on what we need to do for the next game. And I
So
think that's the important part right here.
that's exactly right. So let's. I'm going to go through it to Giancarlo in a second. We're talking about penalty shot in the 10th minute and all that. That could have Canada's first goal. Could have been Canada's first goal. But I'm not going to blame the referees. We waited 36 years for this. Take it all in. We dominated, and I'm going to ask Carmen here. The first half, the first 40 minutes, we dominated the second-rate country, set number 2 in the world. And I'm going to say this, we dominated them. We should have been up 1 or 2-0, and we weren't. But we should be proud. We should be proud as a country. We're witnessing history. History that, Carm, you know this, because like I say it every show, you're a part of this no matter what you say. You are a part of this. You got these guys ready, focused, and all that. You're a part of this. We waited and we were witnessing history. The first 30 to 40 minutes, we showed the world. We showed the world. Not only are we a hockey power, goddamn, we're a football nation. And people should start looking at Canada. Because don't forget, in a couple months, we're in the World Cup for the ladies also. All right? So in one calendar year, the ladies and men are in the World Cup. So speak about that, and then I'll throw it to Giancarlo. Go ahead, Carm.
Yeah, I mean, I think the mentality was spot on, and we talk about teams not being able to press for 90 minutes. I mean, Canada did pretty close to that, and you look at the new stat situation, and they showed how many turnovers Isacco got today, how many turnovers Junior Hoylett got today. I think their pressing and the preparation for this game was pretty much spot on. The Belgians did exploit the spaces a couple of times, but the back three usually dealt with it. And this is what the international game's about. It's those moments where you need to be tuned in, and Stevie Vittoria kind of tuned out for that 1 second, and Batshuayi got in behind, and we all saw what happened. But to see again, That's part of individual and group preparation as well. But as far as the blueprint, as far as the plan, as far as the pressing, as far as creating opportunities off of the pressing, I think they did a fantastic job of it. In the box, like everyone's going to say, oh, maybe if Larin was in earlier, he would have been better in the box. Oh, or maybe Jonathan David. But the situation was this: Canada did some great things to get penetrating actions in the box. When they did, if we look at the stats for blocks, we look at the stats for interrupted shots, I think the Belgians did a very, very professional job defending their box. And when they didn't, Courtois, who's probably the best keeper in the world right now, in my estimation, the best keeper in the world. I mean, he won a Champions League by himself, let's be honest, against Liverpool. So for me, they did a professional job of defending when they needed to. And I think that people are going to look to the lack of experience in the World Cup for the cause of them not scoring or being a little more clinical in the box. But I'm going to say that the Belgians did a good job. They did a very good job box defending, and they did a very good job doing what they needed to do to win this game. Were there a lot of turnovers? Yes. Was Eustachio at the best today? I would argue no. His distribution when he won it, or his distribution on dead balls, wasn't what we needed at that time. And Atiba was Atiba, but we just needed some more clinical actions in the final third. But again, we look at that situation. We're going to look at all the blocks. We're going to look at all the times the cutbacks got blocked or they got intercepted. So I mean that doesn't happen by accident, and that can't be all Laria not making the right pass or David not making the right run or Tejan not making the right run. It's also about what the Belgians did in defending their box.
All right, as you can see, that's Carmine Isacco. I brought in Drew Ebanks, the guy who's older than you. Actually, he's the king of basketball, but I
Great
refer to him
breakdown.
as Captain Canada, right? I refer to him as Captain Canada. He's on point basketball, but he's starting on point soccer. Giancarlo, look at his face. Giancarlo's never been more alive than to see Drew Ebanks, all right? By the way, Carm, he is older than you. He's
Great
older than you
breakdown.
because first time in 36 years, that's why I brought him. Drew, hold on. Giancarlo, give me your thoughts on Canada there.
Yeah, Carmen pretty much nailed it there. Kamal Miller deserves a lot of credit for being a monster back there. All the slide tackles he was making, breaking up plays. I think he was crucial in the back. He stood out to me a lot. This is an MLS player, and he's on the field with guys like De Bruyne, and he's holding his own with him. Tejan Buchanan raising hell in the box. Richie Larea was another one at times. Him and Alistair Johnson. I think at the back, what Herdman has to do next game is figure out what he has to do with his lineup, because Alphonso Davies, maybe you put him in the back as a fullback role because Kyle Larin proved he can play and create out there. So I would like to see Larin, David, and Buchanan on top in the next game, and maybe build up from the back with Larea and Davies.
By the way, Miller.
I think there was a little bit of logic to that, though. I mean, if you look at the amount of sprints that Alphonso David that were over 10 yards, I think that was calculated. I think that was him playing in the back today with the hamstring issue left him out for the rest of the tournament. Something could have reoccurred, but I think that it was on purpose that he played a little bit higher up the field, and most of the actions were quicker rather than longer. So yeah, you got a point there. But someone with, and again, he wasn't fantastic today, but you have to have him on the field. You have to have him on the field, and he is going to make a massive impact for sure. If he's ready physically to do that wider area role where he has more space in front of him to run into, I think he'll be definitely an asset. But don't forget, Adekubi was rested. Adekubi does a job in that position. And who knows if Loria is going to be at full strength as well. These are tough games and tough conditions. So there'll be some sort of changing of the system. But again, the Croatia game is pretty much a must win.
All right, before Drew gets Giancarlo, how could you not mention Camille Miller exclusively on the Fired Up Network on Friday? Come on, you should have said that. But you're the king of promotion here. All right, Drew, give me your expert. I'm going to say expert soccer opinion. And we're talking about soccer balls and not basketballs. All right, Drew, go ahead.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to go into the technical aspects. Obviously, I think you guys got it down. Carmen, you said it perfectly. From what I noticed in the game too, in the match, and Giancarlo, you as well. I just think that people, we're being Canadian sports fans. We're so used to not being able to compete on the level, the world stage, the world class level in any sport outside of hockey. So I think just looking at Canada going in, a lot of people were like, yeah, we could beat Belgium. But remember, number 2 in the world, one of the top goalies in the world. Yeah, they're missing one of their big guns. But to me, I always said, if we get out of there, with a 1-0 loss, 2-0, it's an accomplishment. If we draw, that's huge. That would be big. And if we were able to pull off the win, then that's just a miracle in itself. So I think we have to kind of temper our expectations of this team, especially playing a team like Belgium. But proud of the way they played. Obviously, missed a bunch of opportunities, I think, in the first half. Also, some opportunities that could have been penalties on Belgium that weren't possibly called. I think if Davies obviously makes that penalty, the game, it's a different game. It's a different tactical game, obviously, from Belgium. They got to come back. I think confidence-wise, it would have been a huge boost for Canada for the rest of the tournament. But to me, just like in any sport, guys, they got to just put that behind them now. They got to focus on the next two, because losing 1-0, it still allows them to be in the race to move forward, right? So I think everybody should be proud of Canada. Obviously, they got to clean up some things, but for me personally, watching them for the first time in 36 years, super proud of them going up against Belgium, which is like, 1 or 2 levels higher than what they're used to probably playing for a consistent full, 90 minutes. I'm proud of them. And I think Canada is showing, and I've covered some of the young talent coming up as I started on Point Soccer a couple years ago, but, really love the game and love the fact that all this talent is starting to burgeon. We have a very bright future.
All right, I'm going to go to Carmen here. This is why he's the coach and the best analyst in the world. We have him here, not some other nation, some other network or whatever. All right, take me through what they have to do Sunday. Their next game is Sunday. What they have to do to be victorious on Sunday. Go. You're the coach of Canada now. What changes should you advise Herdman on?
Well, I mean, the preparation level for Croatia is going to be, there was points of the game where Belgium refused to try to play out of the back because the pressing was so quick. I mean, the level of athleticism was so strong. And we did turn them over a lot. But again, it's not going to go unnoticed that we weren't clinical in the final third. It's not going to go unnoticed that that there was a lot of space in transition actions. But Croatia doesn't have the athletic ability, doesn't have the Kevin De Bruyne to get in the final third with 3 strides with that type of pace. And I don't think they have the counter ability. So I think you're going to see a very methodical Croatian team in their defensive setup. I think you're going to see a very methodical and efficient Croatian team in their build-up. But their strength is through the middle. Their strength is through the middle. So they will probably maybe skip lines and try to skip that pressing, because as you say what you say, no one's about Canada and how Kamal did so well and Alistair did so well in 1v1 situations. Any team right now is licking their chops to get Kamal and Alistair and Stevie Victoria in 3v3 situations or even 3v2 situations. So that's the reality. They're going to have to either play with a higher line because the Croatians don't have that pace to exploit the space in behind. I think the pressing is going to can't be so so consistent, and they've got to show them different looks, which Herdman's famous for. But I think it's going to be a different match where Croatia will be prepared for that athleticism. And Belgium didn't do a good job exploiting the spaces in between their back four, or the back three and their middle four. I don't think they did a good job at all finding those pockets of space to get at them. But I think in the preparation, I think Herdman doesn't have to change things, but there has to be more compactness, and that's going to be dictated by the back three or four or five, whatever he does next game. But there has to be less gaps and maybe a little more spacing behind, because the Croatians and Peisich, they don't have that pace to exploit. They have to combine. They have to play through you. They have to find actions in with dynamic movement. They just don't have what Belgium has.
All right, Giancarlo. First of all, I'm not going to ask you, do you agree with Coach? Because I don't care if you agree with Coach. He's the coach. But what do you think? What changes do you think Herdman would do? Do you think he'll make tactical one or two changes in the starting lineup?
Yeah, I think so. And like even Carmen mentioning there about Croatia's team, like a lot of people look at their team and yeah, they went to a final, but you're looking at them in 2022, they're not spring chickens anymore. Like Modric is getting up there in age. I think Canada is going to be, it's going to be a lineup where they're going to be blitzing through the center park, and it's probably going to be, like Brian Burke used to say, a truculent lineup. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see Cavallini involved at some point in the game. Maybe Mark Anthony Kaye comes instead of Atiba Hutchinson. Maybe Hutchinson sits the second game and comes off in the second half and slow things down. But I would expect more grinding first half to slow down Croatia, and second half I see them putting them away. So I'm confident with that. And the only change I see is Kyle Larin starting and Hoylick going to the bench.
All right, so that's Team Canada's next game is Sunday, but let's look ahead. Preview. By the way, for people who are watching in the United States, happy Thanksgiving. Hopefully you have all your turkey. That's why I brought Drew here. All right, so 5 o'clock. Carmen's the only one up for this game because I'm not up. The last 2 days, I'm not up. Giancarlo's still snoring. All right, Carmen, you're going to be up to watch Switzerland and Cameroon. If you give me some chocolate, I'll be up.
Absolutely, I'll be up. I haven't missed a minute yet of especially the 5 a.m. because I'm not dealing with 3 kids beating me up. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to Cameroon. I'm looking forward to that game.
And matchup.
And for me, I've loved the African nation teams, even though Senegal didn't get the result. I thought Tunisia was strong, and I thought Morocco and Hakimi and Ziyech were fantastic. I didn't think they were very well organized, but I think that and then Croatia got a good preparation for what Canada's going to be, because Canada has the same types of players that can get at you 1v1. And Croatia are masters at managing the game, masters at managing moments. They're not going to look fantastic, but you better believe it when they get in transition and they get the ball in the final third, Canada needs to drop in the lower block, which they didn't have to do today. So it was more of a run and gun game. It's just like basketball. A lot of these games, a lot of teams is set up in the half court system. Yep. They've pressed with their top 3, 4, and they've dropped into a half court zonal system, right? Mm-hmm. So that's what the Croatians are. They're quick. But there's no shot clock. We talk about this. It's like a half-court game with no shot clock. Hold on. And the Croatians are masters at dealing with that shot clock, dealing with that possession. And they say, okay, we'll play you half-court. You're going to play us half-court. We're going to play you half-court. We'll wait till our opportunity where our quality can show. And that's the scary thing for Croatia. They didn't have that quality. Mandzukic was usually the man to find that quality, but they don't have that Mandzukic. And Modric usually finds that quality, but he missed some sitters on top of the 18. Brozovic and Peisich the same. So, you know what? There's a lot of questions mark for Croatia, but they will be masterful at creating those moments, and they will be masterful at defending as a unit and getting the ball into situations and managing the tempo.
All right. So I'll go around the table tomorrow, 5 a.m. Carmen's going to only one. Carm, Switzerland, Cameroon, who you got?
Ah, the Swiss really bother me because the reality is, I know we talk about Italy, and I don't want to talk about it because it's a touchy subject, but
Mm.
they are better than any team that we've seen, and for any European team that we've seen out there so far. That's the game. That's soccer. It's beautiful. Like, again, basketball, the U.S. is never going to lose to North Macedonia, but in situations in soccer, because of tactical stuff and because of situations, that's why it's such a beautiful sport. Anyone could win at any moment. But I digress. Anyway,
All right.
I do think it will be a good game. I do think that Cameroon's athleticism will prevail. Will prevail, and I think that the playing the game in the afternoon will help Cameroon. In the heat will help Cameroon. I think they'll be a lot more prepared. I think it's a Cameroon win. Let's say 1-2-0.
Neil. All right. Giancarlo. Who you got? Switzerland and Cameroon. And by the way, Drew, this is your newest analyst on your basketball show, right? You have added nothing here on the soccer show, but Carmen has added everything on basketball. He's your
Well,
new
I played. I had to choose NAI basketball or Maryland for soccer.
Look at that.
Hold on. Did you make the right choice? What
I
position
did
basketball?
because I went to walk-on tryouts and it was frightening. It was frightening. I went to Maryland with the day when Len Bias just passed away.
Wow.
Yeah,
It's huge.
Gerard Mustaf and Walt Williams.
Right.
And that there. So I used to watch Grant Hill and Christian Leitner with Duke and Bobby Hurley. Those were good basketball. That was some good basketball. I really enjoyed it.
After World Cup update, we're going to do the Raptors roar with Carmine Isacco. All right, Giancarlo, go ahead. Who do you got?
He knows his hoops.
Switzerland, Cameroon, Giancarlo.
Yeah, I'm expecting a 1-1 draw. I think Switzerland, they don't change the way they play. They're always that solid two-way kind of team where they're going to defend and they'll find their chances and eventually just luck their way into a goal at times. So I think Cameroon gets on the score sheet first, and as the game goes on, I see a late goal from Switzerland, and we'll probably see both of them get a point.
Do I even ask Drew?
Don't even need to ask me. That's good. Right. You guys broke it down. I'm good.
Giancarlo, you'll start us off with the second game. A second game at 8:00, Uruguay, Korea, Republic.
Yeah, you know what? Korea, Republic, after what I saw from Japan today, I wouldn't count the Asian teams out, but I see Uruguay getting a comfortable win, probably 2-0 type of thing, something like that. I don't see it being a blow like Spain's game today, like 7, but I see 2 and a comfortable first win for Uruguay to start the tournament.
All right, Carm.
Yeah, I agree. Again, Uruguay is a very kind of developed nation in the game now, and they've developed a pedigree and they know how to win and get past groups for sure. Suarez and Nunez really will complement each other well, whether they play the 4-4-2. But I think that what they showed against Canada was efficient and reliable, and they have different ways on beating you. And to be honest, like Betancourt is one of the best players right now in Europe for me. Vecino's solid, so I think that it's going to be very, very difficult for them to be broken down. And I think that their mentality is going to be very good. And then they've got proven goal scorers, Nunez and Suarez, coming at you, and that could be frightening for the South Koreans. So I'm agreeing a 1 or 2-0 score line would make sense.
Do you want me to give you crap, Carmen? When you see, I just give Giancarlo all the time, and he's starting to learn nil, not nothing, nil.
Listen, I'm Canadian.
Hey, you're Canadian. All right, let's get to the next game. 11:00, Portugal and Ghana. Portugal has some guy, not Gary Roberts, number 7, not Kyle Lowry, number 7, Cristiano Ronaldo. Have you heard of him, Giancarlo?
Rings a bell.
Is he going to do more than Messi did yesterday, 2 days ago?
I think so. I think he's going to show him out here. I think he's controlling the narrative like Drew sees in the NBA. It's common. There's some players that like to get the headlines about them a little bit. That's what sparks them up and gets them going. So I don't see anything wrong with what Ronaldo did. That's the only thing that fires him up at this stage of his career and motivates him. So future Toronto FC player, since he's a free agent now, maybe we'll see him wearing the red, but I see Ronaldo having a great game.
All right. Drew, do you want to mention anything about Cristiano Ronaldo?
Well, I mean, obviously, you know, him going out and just spilling all the beans like that, man, he wants to go out on his own terms, obviously, right? I mean, it's almost reminiscent of Kanye, the way he just kind of laid the flamethrower to Man U. And, you know, there was really no choice for him. But obviously, he's going to be a big factor there and, you know, look for them to do some damage for sure.
All right, John, Carm, go ahead.
I mean, look at the Portuguese team. If they're at their potential, which I don't think they will be just yet, with Bruno Fernandes, Silva, Jota, the names Neves. You got in the back. You've got Cancelo, who's probably the best right back in the world right now. You got Ruben Diaz, Man City players, big players, but they are playing against some big players from Ghana as well. Players that are going to be up to speed with the European game. So this will be a very European game tomorrow. And I think that it'll be a very tactical game. But I think as far as talent-wise, regardless of Ronaldo or not, Portugal is a team that's contending for a championship. But but again, the experience, this will be a very European Champions League type game. There's a lot of experience on both teams, and I think that this will be a very close game. But I do think that the difference makers will make a difference, is whether it's Jota or Diaz or Silva, lots of big time players, or Fernandes, big time players in Portugal to make the difference. And a lot of very experienced, good players with Ghana. And their target player, Ikai Williams in the La Liga, has at times been the mention for Man City and Man United. So this is going to be a very important tournament for him too. So let's see how he shows up as well.
All right, the last match of the day, Brazil, Serbia, 2 p.m. Carm, you'll start us off when you're eating your turkey leg and watching the Buffalo Bills destroy the Detroit Lions. Do you think Brazil scores 7 goals tomorrow?
I mean, I do think Brazil wins the game for sure. But this is a Serbian team with big gonads, right? They're not the most skilled in all those positions, but they will make you earn it. They will beat you up. And the new Brazilians aren't, well, again, have you ever watched a Common Bowl game, qualifying game? It's like a war. So they'll be used to it. But the other thing is they have players that can hurt you. Although Vlahovic on Juventus has been very quiet, Kostic on Juventus has been very good. So there's some players on that team that could hurt you, but they're going to make you earn it. And do I think Brazil has what it takes to earn it? Absolutely. And I think the difference maker and the X factor won't be Neymar, but will be Jesus. Jesus is going to be very important, like he's been on fire for Arsenal. He needs to be in the same way for Brazil. And then the other factors like Richarlison and Vinicius, all these players are so dangerous. But again, you're going to see a game with not a lot of rhythm. You're going to see a game with a lot of fouls, and you're going to see a game where transition actions and Vlahovic has to be at his best to get a result.
All right, Drew, I'm going to ask you this. Come on, Brazil or Serbia? Who's your pick? I know you don't follow soccer that much. I'm going to give you a hint. Brazil or Serbia?
Brazil, brother. I'll go with Brazil. 3-0.
Oh, see, he got it right. See, he's Canadian.
Sell out. Where you from?
Me?
All right,
Toronto.
Giancarlo, go ahead.
Where'd you play basketball?
I think Brazil.
All right, so
I
hold
like
on.
Carm. I
So
like Carm.
I'm going to ask. Hold on. I'm going to ask Carmen as we close the World Cup update. As we close World Cup update for today, Carm, tonight at the Scotiabank Arena, the Raptors are playing the Brooklyn Nets. Who you got? Are you excited to see Ben Simmons score 4 points and miss 24 3-point shots? Come on. Who you got, the Raptors or the Brooklyn Nets?
Who's even playing for the Raptors? Is
Yeah.
Siakam's out for sure.
Yeah.
Who is our rookie of the year out, or is he playing?
He's playing, but he'll give you a free Subway if you pick him.
A ballway, man. A ballway.
Ballway.
No, I mean, I hope they don't. Durant is historically a Raptor killer, mind you. Historically, so AG might have to play some defense, and everyone else around him has to play some defense and rebound. But yeah, we're long. If Anunoby does a job on Durant, we'll be okay. Because Simmons, if he hurts you,
hold on. Drew, I just found our triple threat here. He knows soccer. He knows wrestling. He knows basketball. Carmine Isacco, man. Carmine Isacco.
He's the man.
All right.
He's the man.
All right. Giancarlo, also tonight, the Leafs played the New Jersey Devils. The New Jersey Devils, 13 in a row. 13 in a row. Who you got?
Toronto to snap the streak, because it's not going to continue that long, and John Tavares is going to be the guy to do it.
Carmen, do you want to knock some sense into this guy?
I think Toronto's missing Riley and Jonesy and Shorzy, so I think they might be in trouble. They got some big misses on the blue line, no? So they might.
Okay, they still got Mitchie. They got Mitchie. He's good enough.
What is this EE? All right, let's go. So Drew, you're Captain Canada. This is Canada soccer played today. They lost 1-0 again against Belgium. But Drew, take us through Canada basketball here. Anything you want to add with Canada basketball? Carmen, anything you want to add with Canada? You want to try out to be an assistant coach there also? Go ahead.
No. I'll leave it to Drew. I'm not gonna go head to head with Drew.
No, man, I always echo when I look at, even obviously the women on the soccer side and even the basketball side, they've been holding it down, right, for Canada. But I'm telling you, like, I just look forward to all the talent on the Canadian soccer side, on the men's, youth, boys, whatever you want to look at it. And I see the parallels with basketball and the talent coming up. I think what's needed is more cash infusion, more sponsorships, more corporate support for soccer and basketball. But I'll tell you, on limited budgets, you can see the talent burgeoning, from Canada. You saw it today. Canada's on the world stage. Hey, losing 1-0 to Belgium, I'll tell you, some people who never thought this could be possible are perking up and saying, wait a minute, what's up here? What's going on over here in Canada? And, these kind of, games, these kind of, competitions at this stage can cause things like investment to happen, can cause people who weren't paying attention all of a sudden to say, hey, Canada went up against number 2 in the world and only lost 1-0. And I see the same parallels with basketball. Look at the NBA. Look at all our Canadian kids. I mean, we got a rookie that's averaging the most points off the bench in the league, in Benedict Mathurin, coming out of Montreal. We got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's in the top, pretty much he's playing like a top 5 player, right now. You got Jamal Murray back in the mix. You got the Toronto Raptors with 3 or 4 Canadians, including Big Jam, the head, one of the coaches. And like I said, guys, I was around the Canadian soccer side a couple years ago during COVID and worked with a lot of the young up-and-comers that were on TFC Academy and, playing for top clubs and stuff, in their rep side. And I'm telling you, I'm impressed with what I see, and I'm very excited. Carmen, I know we were supposed to probably connect a little while ago, but I'm very excited to see what Canada's going to be in soccer. And I've been spreading the word around to let them know, hey, this nation is not a joke anymore, especially on the men's side. And it's really, really exciting, guys. And I'm telling you, I'm a homer. Bottom line is, I'm rooting for Canada no matter who we're playing. I'm up at 5 a.m. watching Canada play in the World Juniors. I'm here at work. I'm in the office today. I'm watching Canada. I got to get to a
First time in
TV.
the year, he's at the office today. Pick that one up. All right.
Not the first time in a year.
All right.
We've been back one day a week, buddy. But no, I'm
All right,
proud to be
we
Canadian,
have
and
a
I'm
question
happy.
here. Hold on, Drew. We have a question. It's the good friend of Carmine Isacco, Marty Roberts. He wants to know,
Oh,
and this
Marty.
is a very good question. First of all, he's missing your scarf, and he wants to know, Carm, who would you have picked to take the kick?
I mean, hindsight is 2020, but my number 9's taking that kick 10 times out of 10. Jonathan David, just because, but I see the logic in Alphonso Davies, fair. But I ask yourself this: if Bayern Munich got a PK in the Champions League, would Alphonso Davies be taking it?
No.
If Lille gets a PK in the Champions League, will Jonathan David be taking it? Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, but hindsight's 2020. Unfair to talk about it. But so we're all geniuses after the fact. But
Do you think? I mean, I looked at that too, and I was saying the same thing. It's like if you don't make Alphonsi take that kick, what does that do for him mentally? Like, oh, we don't have confidence in you to take it. It's kind of like you have to do it because he's on that, he's on that world-class club, and he's essentially your best player. But I think you're right. David's the guy who really should have taken it. And then do you think that the injury, do you know what I mean? Like the ball just didn't seem like it was hit, where he didn't even really look up to see where the goalie was kind of leaning. You know what I mean? Like to me, he rushed it, and he needed to have his eyes kind of looking at where the goalie is and make that play. To me, if that's something you got to score. I mean, it's tough, but you got to score it.
All right. So as we conclude this outstanding edition of the World Cup update, we'll be back tomorrow with another daily coverage here. But Giancarlo, start us off. Tell us how to get a hold of you.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter, John_411, Instagram, Giancarlo_Aulino. Check out my articles on firedupnetwork.ca and sportskita.com. And if you're in Toronto, check me out on Vibe 105.
All right, Drew, quickly, 24-second shot clock right now.
Drew Ebanks on Twitter, On Point Basketball on Instagram and Facebook, and onpointbasketball.com, and check us out, On Point Soccer Canada. We'll be picking up our coverage as this goes on, and again, just happy to be a part of this. This is legendary for me. I don't belong here. You guys,
Where do you belong?
Showed me love. Showed me love.
You want to play bocce? Carmen could teach you about bocce too. Come on.
No, man, I'm on with a legend. What to expect?
Marco men's basketball run tonight. with Spurs, bring it on. Averaging 14 a game, Drew.
All right.
Wow. We got to hang out, Carl. We got to hang out one of these days, man.
By the way, Drew, you are older than him, by the way. I don't want to – you are older than him. So
yeah, you see, bro? I don't shave him anymore. Seriously, I don't pluck him.
But Canada falling to Belgium 1-0. But, yes,
proud.
We're a little bit disappointed. But we all should be proud. The first time in 36 years. And we pressed, like I said about 10 minutes before, we pressed the number 2 club in the world. We should have been leading, okay, but take it as a learning experience. Sunday, come back and shock the world. Let's shock the world, and let's get it done. Again, for Carm, for Drew Ebanks, Giancarlo Aulino. Stay tuned for more great programming here on the Fired Up Network. And Carm, you get the last word. Basketball, soccer, or anything. Go ahead.
No, it's just happy to be part of the family. Basketball was never part of the Toronto sports family. Soccer was never part of the Toronto sports family. Now we're all part of the family. TFC, Raptors. It's a big one happy whole family right now. And the Argos. Okay, Joe.
Okay, hold on. That leads me to the next. Drew Ebanks is going to be on point on location tomorrow at the Grey Cup Parade. Yes, at the Bay Street Bay Cup Parade.
I can't believe we won. I still can't believe we won. Nobody knows that we won the Grey Cup. Nobody.
No. They have a big fan base down there.
Drew and Giancarlo are going to be 2 members of 5 people who are going to show up tomorrow for the Grey Cup Parade. Carm, are you going to be there?
Absolutely, for sure. Absolutely, I'll be there. I'll definitely be there.
Right.
I'll definitely be there for sure. I'll be
And
there.
honestly, if people go out and support the Grey Cup, it's the parade tomorrow, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Go out at Maple Leaf Square, support the Argos. They're the only champions this year in Toronto. Support a champion team and CFL, great, even though The Rock may take it over in XFL next year, whatever. All right. For, again, World Cup update. We'll be back tomorrow. Thanks a lot, guys.
Great time, guys.